Okay, we're going to go over river otter real quick. They're kind of cut and dried too. You've got clear leather. It's going to be prime. A lot of tick bites on these. That is going to make them a slight in my book, but if it wasn't for the tick bites, you know, these two are not bad otter. They're decent colored. They're nice straight haired. You know, they're prime. Okay. Other than that, size, you know, just go by the measurements. You know, a good clean scrape job. That they were put up well, just not real big otter. So, barring the tick bites, those go as 1s and 2s. Just measure to go to the size. Okay, now you've got one that was a little bit earlier. You see the dark. The same thing you see on a mink, on an earlier mink. It's not going to be as prime. Now, you throw in the fact that somebody shot it, there's an in hole and there's an out hole. So they dispatched with a 22 on this one, which you don't want to do on an otter. If you're going to dispatch with a 22, put it right up here. Don't go in the middle of the body. So the dark, the not prime, the fur is thinner, and it's the way most people put otter. It's very difficult to see this. I mean, it is straight hair, but the length isn't there and the nap isn't there. You know, that's going to go as a damage, probably as a number 3. There's another one, shot. Immediately it's going to go at least a slight damage. It's a little bit better looking on the leather, still got a lot of tick bites. You know, remember what I said about clean and dry? This was put up wet. See how that fur's all matted up down in there? Okay, that gets kicked out as a number 3 in my book. Between the fur being matted so you don't know what's going to happen when you soak it, and this. It's a little early, the fur's matted, you got bullet holes, you got 3 strikes against you. That's going out as a number 3. This one doesn't have the bullet hole. That's a plus. There's no bullet holes in it. Well, there is up here in the head where it should be. Okay, so it's still not quite prime. It was a little bit earlier. And here we go with that put up wet again. You can see in there that fur is it's just all matted up. So again, this is getting thrown out as a number 3, even though it doesn't have a bad bullet hole. So singe, everybody talks about singe. Well, otter singe because of sliding. So later in the season they're going to singe. The singe is going to be right here, which is their lower belly area, at the bottom of their legs, and on their tail. That's where you see the singe first. And if it's clean, you can generally bend that tail up, and then you can look up in the light and you'll see the ends of the hairs will have a hook on them. Okay, that's what the singe is. It's just friction. It's from the dragging, the sliding, and the rubbing. You are not going to singe an otter by scraping it on a beam. Even though there's videos that say that, I guarantee you, you will not singe an otter by scraping it with dry fur. It takes a lot more rubbing than that to singe an otter. The bulk of the otters that are caught February, especially March, they're pretty much all going to be singed. You know, any fur, as it's getting prime, it gets better and better and better, and then it reaches the point of complete prime, then it starts downhill immediately. Some furs hold up longer than others. You know, gray fox holds up good. Cats are late primers. Red fox go early. Coyotes go early. Otter kind of mid-range. So don't worry about singeing on a beam, but still you want to make sure nice and clean and just get them stretched right. Okay, well we're gonna look at some otter here, and everybody's gonna talk about this and discuss it. We're talking about singe earlier. Okay, this is nice, straight-haired. It's a pretty nice otter. Not a great big one, but it's dark and it's straight-haired. Okay, this one we can see the singe on the lower belly part. It's going to be very difficult to see on camera, but when you hold them up, I'll let you do that. Eric, hold it up. and then look at the light.
Let's see if that'll.
You'll see how it's straight, and it's got it. It doesn't have that like extra shine to it where they're hooked over.
Is that coming in?
Yeah, kind of. We'll
Kind of
see.
a little blurry.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't have any that are singed bad, but if you look right here on this belly area, that's typically where they singe first. And if you look real close, you can see instead of having the nice pointed hairs, they're going to have like little hooks on the ends, or they're going to be broken off and squared off.
Yeah. Yeah, you can. It's picking it up. So.
If we had a bad singe here, it would really.
There's ones that are more hooked. In there.
Yeah, it's picking it up.
So we were talking about singe before, like with the otter that I had mounted. I think we said that one was singed in a lot of spots. Can sun damage cause that too?
Not really. It's friction.
Friction.
I mean, by the time you get into February, you're going to have a majority is going to have some degree of singe, just because the belly area, the way the otter tend to, when they move, they tend to run and slide. So the belly area is what's going to get it, and it's friction is rubbing on it. The sun will fade it. It will end up taking a nice dark otter and turning it into a brown otter. And otter vary a bunch in color. Used to be the darks, like this and this, that was in demand. And the lighter color, this one's fairly dark. There's a lighter one, there's a lighter one. It used to be that these brought more money than these. Anymore, it doesn't seem to make a whole lot of difference, especially since most of the otter are basically southern otter anyway. Our otter, Indiana's otter, West Virginia's otter, they were all brought up from down south for restocking programs. You go up into the New England states and their otter are a lot heavier than this. Darker otter generally with a lot heavier fur. But no, the sun isn't going to do the singe. The sun is going to fade. If anything's going to happen, it's going to cause it to fade.
So the big misconception that I know I've heard it before was with singe and being concerned with fleshing. Now I did notice that you said like when you flesh them and they're dry, you won't get it. Can you get singe if you flesh them when they're kind of wet still?
That's the thing is they say, well, you have to flesh an otter when the fur's wet or you're going to singe it. That is absolutely not true. I mean, if the otter fur was that delicate, you couldn't pick it up and hand it to 10 people without it becoming singed. Because the friction is what's going to singe it. And when you got it on a beam, it's not like you're going back and forth sliding it over a beam. It's pretty much laying steady. You're just coming over the top. You're not rubbing the fur. The fur is against the beam, but it's not like you're taking that fur and rubbing it back and forth on the beam to create the heat to singe the tips of the hairs. That's something we've heard for years, but it's not true. It does not. I mean, there wouldn't be an otter out there that wasn't singed if just the act of beaming it would do it. We wouldn't be able to run them through a paddle bat. We wouldn't be able to run them back on a round knife. We wouldn't be able to put them in a drum. Now, when you take these for the displays, for education displays, fairs, the schools, that kind of stuff, and they get petted, it's going to singe them. I mean, I've got otter that we've used at county fair displays for quite a few years, and yes, they're singed from the ears clear to the tail. And it's just because of the friction from people petting them. But that's what they're there for. They're there to get handled so people can see what they are and get a feel for it. So that's, we didn't have good otter stretched and dried. We don't have great otter dressed, but hopefully you can see the difference. I mean, we got a nice straight haired one here, and This one shows probably more singe than the others, but the worst of the singe is right here. It really shows on this belly. I mean, you can see the light shining on it in a different way from about here right down right over the legs, you know, compared to a nice straight haired skin. So that's a little bit more on the otter. You can see a little more after they're dressed.